any vows, oaths, or pledges that they take will be null and void at that point. You see? So in their mind, that oath that they took is null and void. But to you, you just signed a peace deal. You just signed you just vowed an oath, and yet they're not going to keep it because of what they've recited even before you even got into the picture. You see, and that goes for everything, including what they say, right? Oh, I give you my word. Nah, you never take a J's word. All right, they started the concept of you have to have it in writing. All right. How do we know that? Because that mindset is a corporate mindset. You have to have you have to have receipts. You have to make sure that you have that something that you can go back to and prove that, oh, this happened or this didn't happen. You know, it's all a control tactic. But again, going back to the point that they already have a system set up where, look, no matter what the deal is, no matter what we say, right, agree to, or whatever the case may be, we will always flip on you. Why? Because we already have an oath that says that, hey, if anything happens, we're still protected. We ain't really do nothing wrong because we ain't really, the oath was done in bad faith anyway. So it didn't really matter, you know? So you're always going to be at a disadvantage to try to sit at the table and come up with a plan to deal with these J's, man. Okay? Because that's never been the plan. All right. And especially if you got all these countries out in the Middle East area, so called, right? You got to understand that your livelihood is not in the best interest of the J's. Them even being put in the land in the first place was the beginning stages of all that. It was all about control. Okay, they went through Egypt, the UK, then helped them out, and then now they got that land, and they want to take everybody else around there out. The problem with Iran is that Iran has that spirit of the Persians, the ancient Persians, because it's the same people, and they have that spirit of, look, we got our own shit going on. You're not about to tell us how to live. All right, we go before we was here before you niggas came over here. All right. So they got that mindset like, nah, we're not about to sit around and have you guys run amok. Look what you've done to the land of Palestine. All right. You've waged war and destroyed the land and the people over there. And now you want to come and do it to us too? Talking about, oh, we can't have no uranium. Like, we a threat. We ain't done nothing to you. Right. But here it is. You starting all this shit, propaganda and all that, getting America involved. Now we're about to go to World War III. you know? But again, that's all biblical prophecy. The Lord said, well, the least of the flock shall draw them out. And we're seeing it all play out right now. Okay, you got it, bros.
Yeah, it also says that he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Right, that's that latter part of that. That's always key to remember. So we know that they're already fulfilling the role of drawing them out, but they're also going to be the reason why certain nations end up getting destroyed. Right, certain regions end up getting completely obliterated because they're going to draw. The Lord is going to use them as bait. When I say bait, I mean the drawing factor of many countries to that region. Now, on that note, this is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. And it reads here, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, which are the men of war, as it's going to say, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And where is this that they're being prepared to come up to is the valley of Yahweh Shabbat, right? Now, as it says here, wake up the mighty men, and that's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing the mighty men being woken up. So when you start to see, even though they may not look it, these your Xi Jinpings and your Putins and your Kim Jong-un and all of those different rulers, right? Erdogan and all of them, they're all rulers of nations that have military might, right? And those men in their armies, they're part of their mighty men. So when they wake them up, they're basically telling them, yo, be prepared, right? Because we might need to go into this war, right? To protect our assets, to protect our allies and our interests. And so how is this message this message come into effect? The Lord uses events. When he said he was going to put hooks into the jaws of Russia, right? He wasn't going to actually grab, because Russia's not even a person, right? So he wasn't going to put a fish hook inside of their mouth. But how was he going to turn them back? By events, right? By things that would happen that would pull them from that state of peace into a state of war. And years ago, during Trump's first term, if you looked at how they were with Russia, Russia was always on the defensive. Russia was trying to stay in that nuclear peace treaty, right? Russia was trying to avoid conflict. They kept saying, look, we won't do anything to you, but we will defend ourselves. And now it got to the point where they were like, yo, mess around and you might just have World War III, a nuclear war on your hands. Don't play with us. That's because the Lord used he used events to put hooks into the jaws of their mouth. So similarly, he's using these events, right? You have Israel going ahead and preemptively striking Iran. That is waking up these other nations. All right. So as it says here in verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Now, plowshares and pruning hooks are used for agriculture, right? A plowshare is used to actually break up the earth so you can, plant the seed and so on and so forth. But beating it into a sword is a weapon of war, right? A spear is also what's used for war back in the ancient world, and even till today. If you go to those remote parts in Africa, the Hamites that are over there, they use spears when they go hunt them hyenas and so on and so forth. They go with they go with spears, right? So when you look at the modern day example, the Iranians are not trying to build actual spears or swords, right? The modern day equivalent would be weapons of war used in modern day war, which are your missiles, right? And so I looked this up, uranium does have a lot of agricultural uses, right? As it says here, it's used for fertilizers, right? And also it can influence soil health for crops. So you can use uranium for a lot of things that are not weapons. However, the reason they keep harping on them saying they got nuclear weapons, we got to stop their uranium enrichment program, is ultimately they are going to be using it for weapons, right? That's an example of that. They're going to take those resources, those natural resources, and they're going to convert them into weapons of war, so that the next time you come, they'll say, yeah, we can mess you up too, right? We may not be a big country, but let us get a couple of good strategic shots off and the damage is done. Shit, even a baby can put a grown man to death if they have a gun, right? So they don't have to be a strong person to do damage. It says here, verse 11, assemble yourselves, come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither calls thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. This is the Lord's determination, to gather these nations and to bring them there. So if you want to know how do we know that this isn't going to be the end of it, well, this is how we know. Because according to what was seen, not what was just thought of and said, but what was seen was these nations over there gathered over there. Ezekiel 38 literally describes Russia going into the land of Israel, right, and covering it up and basically taking it over. That's going to happen, right? So it doesn't matter what we see right now. We know what the Lord has set up in terms of prophecy. And people may be like, oh, yeah, but you guys mentioned martial law, right? You mentioned the C-HIP, you mentioned these camps. Recently, I saw something. I have to do some more research on it. But basically, they were saying that somebody from the Department of Homeland Security agreed. They basically agreed to build a detention center for migrants, for illegal migrants, surrounded by alligators and I think it was like pythons or something like that. And at first you hear that, you think this got to be a joke, right? But then again, it's not. So we're in that era of prophecy, which is breaching the normalcy bias of like, oh, that has to be a conspiracy theory, or that can't be real. No, it's very real.
That's an alligator Alcatraz is what they call it.
Yep.
I think they said they're going to build it down in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. And they said it's going to be like in a lot where it's like increasingly so hot, but they're going to build a tent though, where it gets so hot, they're going to build a tent up in there, and it's going to be surrounded by alligators and pythons. That's sick work, right? So that's like the new shit. And who's going to end up in there? Majority of you Jake's going to end up in there. All right, Esau is building this shit and giving you an image so you can accept it. The image is, oh, illegal immigrants that could be dangerous in your society. Let's get them off the streets. So you're going to accept that type of shit, right? And then soon it just turns over to you and say, see, it's not just illegals. It's just people who just are not going along with the new agenda we're trying to set up here.
Well, Trump said it. He said, "Well, the homegrowns are next." I'm just adding on to your point. That's what he said. That's a verbatim. The homegrowns are next. So it's already, if he's doing that, he's opening up the Alcatraz. He, renovating Guantanamo Bay. You had the judge just actually, gave him credence to be able to ship people that are from different countries to different countries. So you can be from Venezuela, but he could ship you to Sudan. So why is all these things happening, right? And remember, the scriptures told us that the devil will cast some of us into prison. So these are things that we know that he may, take some of the elect and throw them into these places where it's not just like a normal detention center, right? It's not just like, oh, you're just going into your local county prison. Like, he has it to the point where he now has the capability or the authority to send you to somewhere that you've never been, and nobody can even get to you, because that spot in Florida is around the Everglades area. Which, if you know about the Everglades, um, it's like a big ass swamp area in a part of Florida where it's just inhabited by alligators, crocodiles, and poisonous snakes. So you hear that, oh yeah, we're gonna send you to the alligator Alcatraz. If you're not rooted in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, your mind, you gonna fold. Like, you'll be scared. And this is why the Lord told us, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Because we also, we talk about the prophecies, but that is a part of the prophecy as well that has to be fulfilled, right? The persecution amongst the believers. So there are a lot of things that still need to take place, but the Lord has it, as brothers have mentioned, he has it to where you have a lot of pieces already in play. Because World War III and these countries going to war, that takes a lot longer to build up than you'll say demonizing or persecuting the church. Because you can just use, with your AI, with your deep fake, you can use some type of false FLAG to catapult that into effect, right? You can. I posted a thing in the chat where the Fed, right, Fed Chairman Powell
Jerome.
just said that Jerome, I say General, Jerome Powell just said that banks can now, what was the right term? But banks are now free to conduct crypto activity. So if he's giving that, the banks that ability at the same time, remember, Trump said that he wants America to lead the world in cryptocurrency. He wants America to be the cryptocurrency of the world, or crypto capital of the world, right? He wants to lead them in the AI race. So all of these things, and we see how quickly AI is evolving, right? So all of these things are happening at the same time, and the Lord is having that purposely done to shorten the days, right? Instead of having to wait for a whole prophecy to be fulfilled and then the next one start. The Lord just has them all operating at the same time, so that when one is fulfilled, boom, the one's right after that, the next one's right after that. It's just all playing out, and this is why it's important to stay, sober minded and stay watching, so that as the Lord gave the parable of the good man, right? Let me pull that up real quick. Right, he won't suffer his house to be broken into. Mark chapter 13, verse 34. It says, "For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch." Right, and the porter is a doorkeeper, right? And the Lord has set us up as ambassadors, as doorkeepers, right? David said, "I'd rather be a doorkeeper," right? And the Lord is raising up the tabernacle of David, and the main, a doorkeeper. You would look at it as somebody like, oh, that's an insignificant job, but that is actually a very important job, right? Because you are literally, just like if you're at a bank, the security guard. Nobody pays attention to the security guard until there's a security breach. Now that security guard is the number one, significant person in there. But nobody goes to the bank for the security guard. They go for the teller. They go for, the bank, whatever, people. But the security guard is very important. But he's only important once the danger comes. And we're telling you that danger is approaching. Okay. It says, verse 35, "Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, least coming suddenly he find you sleeping." And that is something that the Lord often uses to illustrate the coming calamity, right? He uses suddenness as an illustration to show how this is going to happen. It's not going to be something to where everybody is going to be prepared and waiting and seeing it come. right? Because if that was the case, then everybody would be prepared for it. It wouldn't be something that would be overwhelming. But the wrath of the Lord is going to be overwhelming to the majority of people because it's going to come suddenly upon them because of their lack of watching. And when you see how like things like this where you get this tension fighting and then all of a sudden there's a ceasefire, that creates the whole what is it the red herring, if that's the correct verbiage to use, right? Or the the crying wolf, right? Where people now look at these things like, okay, well, they've already went to, they shot missiles and then that stopped. So if it happens again, then they just have an expectation that, okay, it won't get too far. It won't get too far. So then they lull themselves to sleep. So then now when you hear an alarm, it's kind of like a fire alarm that just always goes off. Yeah, maybe the first or second time you're like, oh, there's a fire. But then third or fourth or fifth time, you're like, oh, this thing always goes off. So I'm not even paying attention to it. But then that's when the actual fire is, and then now you just stuck, and then you smell the smoke, and then at that point it's too late because the fire is downstairs and you're upstairs, and you smell the smoke, and there's only one way out, aka your ass is cooked, and that's how the Lord is setting up everybody. He's slowly cooking you. So that's why it says, least he comes suddenly and find you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. And the Lord Yahushua made mention of watching a lot of times in his ministry, right? Having faith and also watching, because when you're watching, then you will be prepared and ready more so spiritually, right? Wisdom, knowledge, understanding should be the stability at that time, so that when these things come, you're not going to be so hasty, right? You're not going to be so easily moved. You're going to be steadfast because you understand that, hey, you know what? These are the things that we've been waiting for. And we know that hey, the Lord said these things are going to take place. And we trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushai to see us through. While everybody else, because they weren't watching, because they weren't taking heed, right? Because they weren't serious, because this word watch, it says to give a strict attention to, be cautious, be active, to take heed, least through remission and indolence, right? Let's see what this word indolence means. Avoidance of activity or exertion, laziness, right? Second Ezra 16 chapter tells you about the ones who were gave consent onto them. I forgot exactly how it goes, but basically, you being those that are idle being offered unto idols. That's the word, being idle, right? IDLE, which is a synonym of laziness. So it says, "What I say unto you, I say unto you all, watch." It says, "To take heed, least through remission and indolence, some destructive calamity suddenly overtake one." All right. So when you're not watching and you're not being serious, you're not being attentive, this sudden calamity that the Lord has forewarned us that's going to happen is going to overtake you, right? And it's something that you're not going to be able to escape. And that's the thing. You're not going to be able to escape the suddenness. It's not just it's going to come suddenly and then you'll be able to like try to ease out of it. No, you're going to get overtaken like a flood. Okay, like those flash floods that happen. When you get caught in a flash flood, your ass is cooked if you're not on high ground. But you got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a quick precept to back up the elder's point. This is the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5 and 2, and it reads, "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." And we all know if you're on watch for a thief that's coming in the night, by all means, you're gonna 10 out of 10 times you will see the thief. Just like how we're on our watchtower watching out for these prophecies, 10 out of 10 times we will know when the Lord is coming. But if you're being lackadaisical, if that's the correct word, and you're just in the world, just there, do nothing, then 10 out of 10 times you won't see that thief coming. If you go to bed thinking everything's all good, you won't see it. And then that's when the sudden destruction will come from the Most High. That's about it.
We got a precept here in the book of Psalms, chapter 45. verse 1, it says, "My heart is indicted in a good matter. I speak of the things which I have made touching the king being Yahushai. My tongue is the pen of a ready writer." So, speaking skillfully about Yahushai. Verse 3 says, "Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, almost mighty, with thy glory and thy majesty." And this is pretty much what Yahushai has, we're seeing the beginning of Yahushua's emergence upon his place. And you read the book of Luke, Yahushua promises that when he has received the power from the Lord, right, his wish is to what? Is to set fire upon his place. And, as Moses described Yahweh Shemashah as being a man of war, what ultimately happens is that if you ever want to conquer a kingdom, the number one thing you do is what? Divide and conquer. You have to chip out the kingdom, little by little. And then eventually you make that final battle and you pummel them to the ground. And so, Yahushua is, a lot of these Christians out here are expecting the day of the Lord to just be Yahushua appear right in the sky. But they are not anticipating these little events, well, not really these grand events that are taking place in the world. But because they don't perceive it as being grand, like they are, like Saquon just pointed out, because they are tired of being overwhelmed with information, only for that information to not lead to anything, they've gotten complacent. They've not taken heed to the war sounds that are being spoken onto them. But what people got to understand is that, this time isn't like 2,000 years ago when Yahushua had to be humble and go through that terrible baptism. This time he has received that judgment. This is a time of judgment, and judgment means people got to die, and so things are getting really serious. That's why you got brothers out here pointing out the different things that are being set up, like the concentration camps, Jacob's trouble, and rumors of war, and especially concerning the major powers on the planet right now, being the Russia, Iran, you got China, North Korea, America's involved, and most definitely the Amalekites. They are considered to be the the superpower in the Middle East. But really, the Lord has it to where they're going to be destroyed. If you can read about it in the book of Numbers, where Balaam prophesied against Amalek and said that even though Amalek is going to be the first of the nations, the head tribe, right? They control the whole world. Like the brother Haran was pointed out, they are lobbyists. They have dug them with their way through all these Babylon, and they are pulling the strings, hoping to establish their own kingdom. The prophecies then talk about the kingdom of heaven being established by Babylonian might. It speaks about the opposite. The kingdom of heaven is established by Babylon itself, America, being destroyed. But you have these men out there that are trying to come up, they're trying to sidestep from around prophecy and get a slip up on the Most High because they deceive themselves, because they live a life where they make a fool of everybody. They're constantly surrounded by people that they are smarter than. They're constantly surrounded by people. Yeah, I ate the water for that. Yeah, that demon got banned. But yeah, they're constantly surrounded by people who are too weak to do anything about their wickedness. So that pride has gotten them to the point where they think they can do the same thing to the Lord. But the Lord has them in a trick bag. What he's doing right now, like the brother Bakwa pointed out, he's put the hooks in their jaws. It's not just Russia and Magog, but really all these nations have their free will taken away from them. And Yahushai, like he says in the book of, matter of fact, I'm going to bring it out right now. Let's see. Yahushai's wish is ultimately going to come to pass. This is the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 49 says, "I am come to set fire upon the earth," right? And what will I if it be already kindled? But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how I am straitened to it be accomplished. And that terrible baptism, which is his death on the cross, has been accomplished. So now what's left? It's his will that the fire be sent upon the earth. And you can try your best. That's why we try our best to be prophetic and focus on the fear of the Lord and the terrible things that are gonna come to the world, so that we can fish out the elect, right? Because once the elect are sealed, then there's no need for the Lord to hold back the destruction. Once the elect are sealed, then the Lord is like, all right, well, now my servants know who I am. They are ready. Let's get ready to dance. Let's get ready to fight, right? And that's the final moment that we're in right now. We're in that fighting stage, but people still what do you call it? They deceive themselves into thinking that they're in the good old days. They're in the times where, or at least even if they don't feel like they're in the good old days, that the good old days are going to come back, and they're sorely mistaken. The Lord has sworn, and He will not repent. He meant that. He's not going to have things go back to how it was, because the scriptures even talks about. It says that thou art so righteous as to behold iniquity. Because you want to understand that Yahweh Shai wants this place to be destroyed as quick as possible. The Most High also wants this to be destroyed. The prophets that are preparing this place to be burned up also want this place to be destroyed. So there's really nothing holding back. There's really nothing, no one who has any, what do you call it? Any influence on the destruction of Babylon right now, holding back the destruction. All we got to do right now is wait unto the Lord. The Lord knows everybody's heart, his servant's heart. He knows the heart of his son, and he himself wants this place to be destroyed. But all we got to do right now is just keep doing our job as a prophet until you jakes out there get caught up in it, thinking that you are in a kingdom that's never going to end. That's how the day of the Lord is going to sneak up upon you like a thief. And when you're snuck upon, the thief ain't going to have no mercy, man. You get robbed and you get shivved. It's as simple as that. All right. So, yeah, that's it on that.
Yeah, Khan, just wanted to add to your point. It's the book of Galatians, chapter 6 and verse 7. It says, be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Right? And we know that both the land of Israel right now with the 48ers and the so-called founding fathers of this land, all right, they didn't sow anything worth righteousness. All right, that's why you see the after effects of what America was built on. Now people are waking up to it, like, oh, all of a sudden it's like now they see it for what it is. Like, oh, it's what happened to America, our great country. You know what happened? Now it's things have changed. Nah, things have never changed. You just now waking up to the sad reality of what America has always been. All right, we as a so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans are the ones that lived the true reality of America. We tasted the bitterness of what America really is, right? And ultimately, you're starting to see, hey, even this guy, RFK, all right, the brother of JFK, he said it. He said years ago, he said, suppose we went up to heaven and we saw that God was black, right? So then what would happen? What kind of judgment are we going to face after all the things that we've done to the so-called Negro in this land? And then we take our ass up into heaven, and here it is. The man that's judging everything, the king of the universe, actually looks just like those people that we just persecuted this whole time, that we looked down upon this whole time, that we completely decimated as a nation this whole time. What are we gonna say? What then do we say to this God that we stand in front of now, right? So ultimately, that God that you're going to be standing in front of, he's the God of the Hebrews. He's the God of the Hebrew Israelites. He's the God that we're telling you is going to show his power on this earth very soon. That ancient of days, that God, whose name is who's a man of war, as written in Exodus 15 and 3. We're entering into a time of war. Okay, when all these nations are gathering together for war, you don't think that the God of war himself is going to partake in that? You don't think he's already scheming and plotting on the chessboard, the pieces being moved? You don't think he's doing all that? Right? So we're excited about these things. Okay, we're excited about these things, and that's when the ass whooping comes in. Like Ayah said, right? There's a book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 24, and this ties into what Zaquan you also mentioned as well, right? That the calamity is going to come in a moment or in an instance of being unaware. All right, that's the best time to get somebody when they're unaware of something. When they know something is going on and they're paying attention to it. That's why the U.S. government always pushes propaganda and distractions, because they don't want people piecing things together. They don't want you to be aware of these events when they take place, so you could piece everything together. They don't want that. That's why they always say, "Oh, there's nothing to look at." You know what I'm saying? Oh, let's just be peaceful. You know, they'll always come up with something nice to keep everyone down. Like, oh, there's no need to panic. We got things under control. You know, we're working diligently to make sure that we fix this issue. You see, because the last thing they want is people to panic and to bug out. You know, that's a crazy state. It's almost like a stampede. You know, you have all these bulls that just running through the streets, crazy and shit. They'll just topple the whole thing. You know, so this is a book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 24. It says, "Because I have called and ye refused, I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded." And that's the men of the Lord going out there. You got all these people that have heard about the Hebrew Israelites, and rather than listen to what we have to say, being that we are giving you warning and explaining to you all the things that's going on around the world, you want to know, right? But no, they want to say, no, these Hebrew Israelites need to be stopped. There's been literally videos that you got niggas who say, I hate niggas, bro. You got niggas who literally say, oh, the Hebrew Israelites need to be stopped. We got to come together and do something about it. You niggas, man. You see what I'm saying? That's why the Lord is going to destroy these dudes, man. You know? And you women that can't keep your mouth shut always got some weirdo shit to say that don't make no sense. As soon as they turn the camera on, you see her face, her hair, everything. You just be like, she about to say some dumb shit that's going to piss me off. And then, of course, she does it. And it's like, damn, bro. I did this to myself. You know? But the rage that we get when we see all this stupid shit, imagine what the Lord sees. Imagine what he's feeling. Imagine how he's feeling, man. You know? Your family members might be doing certain things. They're engaging in all kinds of debauchery, and you witnessing it. And it's just like, it's so toxic and it's so annoying. And you just wonder, like, Lord, when? You know, when? I can't wait for that day where we're justified because we saw all this shit and we warned them. And they came against us because we gave them your word. You see? So it says here, verse 25, Proverbs 1:25, but ye have set at naught all my counsel, not some. He said all. All right, that's a nigga for you, man. He's not trying to hear nothing. He's not even trying to hear at least 1% of the truth. To him, is no, I don't want to hear. We're not even Israelites. He threw everything out the door. We're not even Israelites. Damn. We're not even Israelites. Just by saying that shows that you're an Israelite. You know, that's what the Lord told Ezekiel. These people I'm gonna make their forehead hard against your forehead. You know, you're gonna go to them and tell them everything. You show them the truth, everything, and they're still gonna come against you. If I would have sent you to a foreign nation with a different tongue, they would have listened to you. But your people, oh, you see? So it says here, it says, and will none of my reproof, okay? I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. So Galatians 6 and 7, you can't mock the Most High, right, and get away with it. And then Proverbs 1 and 26, that calamity that comes upon you is because of your actions that you did. The same things that you sow is what you're going to reap, man. You know? So ever since the Hebrew Israelites got on the scene, that you were able to actually interact with us, because there was a time where we were out there and that's about it. You know, we'll put the videos up and so on and so forth. But now we go live. Brothers actually post videos to the point where people are using these different platforms to even push out the word. You got TikTok, you got Instagram, you got all kinds of different platforms out there. You see? And people are actually getting this information. They're seeing it. They're witnessing the hands of the Lord at work. They're hearing the words of the Lord. But what are they doing? They're scoffing. Right? It's very few people that actually sensible enough to say, yo, you guys got the truth. And I'm actually subscribing to you guys because of the truth that you have. I know that you guys are men of the Lord. Everybody else is just on some clown shit. You got IUIC doing clown shit. ISUPK doing clown shit. Sakari doing clown shit. Right? All these, it's like, it's a joke. And that's what Jake is all into. You know? So continue, it says, when your fear cometh as desolation and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, and that's all going to happen. You're going to see America is going to turn upside down. Okay, and this is what we've been warning you from day one. America will turn upside down. And when that time comes, it's no longer upside down, means it's no longer the citizens ruling. It's going to be the citizens being ruled. That's draconian. And at that point, that's when you're going to be, oh, it's over with. All right? Talking about your constitutional rights. No. They're going to shift everything to the Noahide laws. You got to look into that as well. Okay? Verse 28, it says, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. Right? That's where you're going to be seeing people trying to look up YouTube pages. Right? Now they're going to read the Bible and try to see, yo, there's a precept that these brothers kept saying. What is that going into? You know, you're looking for a breakdown because the Lord is going to make it so difficult that the things that you're going through, trying to even go through the Bible is going to be impossible. You see what I'm saying? You worried about food. You worried about your security, your life. You ain't thinking about, most people ain't even thinking about picking up the Bible, man. You know, if anything, they're being super carnal. You know, so verse 26, verse 29 says, for that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord Yahweh, they would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. All right, so you're gonna choke on your own plans, ideas, and schemes, all your stupid ass beliefs, man. It's gonna come back to haunt you. You know, oh, female, oh, you can't tell me shit. You know, I don't believe in a God that does this and does this and does. Shut your ass up, man. All that stupid ass beliefs. Go call your God when the time comes, man. When our power steps into the house, into the room, and he opens that door, he says, "Go call your gods." Who you gonna call to step up to our God, man? Who? Who you got? Who y'all got, man? Jesus ain't gonna step up to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Muhammad sure damn ain't gonna step up to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay? Buddha, man, where he at? Quads, where they at? Man, where your gods at, man? What are they doing? What are they doing to shake up the earth? What are they doing, man? Where are their prophets at? All right? Where's their army at? Okay? Where's their thundering and their lightning and their power and their famine that they're gonna cause and the pestilence that they're gonna cause and the killings that's gonna be happening? Where they at? Where they at? Where they at, man? But see, but then you're not gonna listen to what we're telling you that our heavenly Father has threatened, and who shall be what shall not be beaten unto what? Unto powder, man. All right, he's threatened, man. Okay, you got it, bro. I think I asked. You want to say something?
Yeah, no, I had a precept just to back you up. This is the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 25. It says, "But I tell you of a truth, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elias, when the heavens were shut up 3 years and 6 months, when the great famine was throughout all the land." And to the brother's point, the Lord is very good at keeping a grudge. He will hold a grudge against you, right? And he he will wait until your ass is deep in trouble, and then he's just gonna do the same thing you was doing to him, because famine is horrible. Okay, you read the scripture, you read in the book of Lamentation, it tells you that famine was horrible, so horrible that you would look at shit and you would think it's appetizing. You start eating that. All right, so famine is very, very horrible. It messes with your mind. I believe there was even a paper that I was reading about the dark secrets of famine, and it talks about how, like, psychologically, even famine can, like, have you change your beliefs just so you can feed yourself. It makes you feral. It makes you like a fucking animal. And it also, like, even before you even die of hunger, you can be afflicted with diseases, right? Because you lack certain nutrients, and then you get disease and all. You can even go blind from being too hungry, right? So the Lord is very good at keeping a grudge, and that's why Yahushua was saying that he knew this is how Jake were, like the Haran was saying, that Jake is hard-headed. They really don't want anything to do with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They hate Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? And so when the famine came, now they're looking for a prophet to deliver them. But Yahushua said, he know you hungry. He know you starving. He know you and your children are. But I remember what you were saying to the prophets back then. I remember how you received my word. So I'm going to step back and have you be hungry, and I'm going to send him to, Ryan, you say, if you send it to another nation, so someone who's not among you wicked jakes, an Israelite that has a common sense, that's who the Lord is going to be dealing with, right? And so a day is coming when if you scoffers out there, you better laugh your last laugh. You better laugh all the laugh you got in you. Laugh till you cry, because a day is coming where there's not going to, you would, when the Lord says that you will pay you give an account for every single word and every single actions, he means that, right? That's why I keep saying that repentance is not just a one-time sentence thing. It's a process. You're proving yourself through a long period of time to the Lord and showing him, the Lord, I hope I'm worthy of your mercy. I hope I'm worthy of your mercy. Not repentance isn't when your ass is caught up in the trials and tribulation, and now you want to repent. At that point, that's not the strength of character that the Lord was looking for. He was looking for it before he hit you. He was looking for you to have a contrite heart. And that's that grace spirit that we have right now. And so instead of talking shit and saying, well, where's the all the things that y'all been talking about? Where is that when is that going to happen? Why would you want that to happen when you don't believe in the Lord? It makes no fucking sense. You Jake said that, like, you're niggas. You just incapable of reasoning with yourself. We're preaching about death and famine and pestilence and just the most horrible things that could happen to a man. And you want that day to come. You want that day you dare the Lord to bring that day upon you. Have you prepared? Are you capable of striving with the Lord? You can't even strive with men. Esau's out here whipping your ass, and you Jace can't even do a damn thing about it. But you want to what? You want to square up against the Most High? It makes no sense. Like the brother posted out, people don't fear. They don't fear. And so the Lord is going to have to teach them that fear, because right now they don't learn that fear through words. You're going to have to put hands on them. And then some people are just like that. You know, their words can never penetrate through the ear. You're gonna have to like beat, gotta put a blow at their temple. That okay? Well, hold up, chill now. What we talking about? Right? Some jakes are like that, you know. So, hey, so you Scorpius out there, there's something horrible coming. The Lord is he has his mindset on judging you as painfully, and he's gonna have that pain prolong until you appeal to his wrath. Now that's the word right there, appealing to the Lord's wrath. You are a fragile man, and you have to appeal to the wrath of God Almighty. Man, the horrible things that you have to go through. Read the book of Job. He will tell you what position, how can a man feel when the wrath of the Lord is against him? All right.
Hey, Slaki, I just wanted to add, I just seen some breaking news. It says 20 people have been injured by a single lightning strike, with dozens transported to hospital in Lexington, South Carolina. So just speaking about the Lord's wrath, a single lightning strike just injured 20 people, right? With a dozens more happen to be transferred to a hospital. So just as the brother was saying it, and that's just, a light thing to the Lord, man. But as you were just saying, I had a quick precept that came to my mind because as you mentioned, like a lot of people, they talk about the times of the wrath of the Lord, right? I'm just reiterating what you're saying, as if it's a light thing. And they say, oh, yeah, I've been saying this, yeah, I've been talking about this, but it doesn't come. But as soon as something does happen, just like the whole thing with Iran and Israel, and then America getting involved, you see how many people were, you know, a lot of times people make jokes out of fear. So they'll make the memes and World War III, but deep down they're afraid, right? Deep down they're scared when they're having those conversations behind closed doors with their family members or with their friends. We've seen it our own selves where people that we've known text us or hit us up and was like, "Oh shit, it seems like what you're saying might actually happen." Right, but their mind is never to say, you know what, let me repent. Their mind is just like, oh shit, now what you're saying is kind of happening, but because it's not right in my face, let me just try to laugh it away. But remember, as Haran read, the Lord isn't mocked, right? You're not going to just laugh at the Lord and his judgment. And the thing is, we're actually stamping what we're saying by the name of the Lord. And that's dangerous to do for you that don't believe, because ultimately it's not us that is saying this. The Lord is putting it in our mouths to say it, and then for us to also stamp it with his word, with his name, so that he has to do it. Because he said he won't let his name be profaned anymore. He's not going to let his word be looked at as being a vain thing. As he says in Ezekiel, the 12th chapter, he's going to cause the proverbs of Israel to cease that say that this is the effect of the vision is for a prolonged thing, a prolonged time, right? Or you've been talking about something that's never happening. So here in the book of Isaiah, the 5th chapter, I'm gonna read it in the NLT, verse 18. It says, "What sorrow awaits those who drag their sins behind them with ropes made of lies, who drag wickedness behind them like a cart." Okay. And that's what you have our people doing, because they see these things happening in the earth, and the wicked of our people, they're not repenting. They're just going about their wickedness and carrying it with them and becoming even more prideful about it, right? They're not saying, damn, maybe I should, listen, maybe I should get a little bit more serious. Maybe I should, seek the Lord. They're just saying, "Oh, yeah, it's not going to." They actually get pride. They use pride as a defense. They get prideful to defend themselves against what is happening in reality, because they don't want to just admit and be humble and say, you know what, things do look kind of, evil out here. So let me try to escape the evil day by running to the Lord. Like how I said, they actually hate the Lord. So they'd rather be prideful and tempt the Lord than to actually be humble and seek the mercy of the Lord. So they drag their sins behind them like a cart. Verse 19, they even mock God and say, "Hurry up and do something. We want to see what you can do. Let the Holy One of Israel carry out his plan, for we want to know what it is." So that's their mindset. They say, do something. You've been saying this, so just do it. But as the brother Ayashi said, once the Lord actually does it, that's when, as it says in Hosea, you're going to seek the Lord early. It ain't going to be like, yo, I'm trying to I'm just trying to hold my ground against the wrath of the Lord. I'm fighting. Hold your ground. Hold your ground. Nah. Right when it hits, they're going to seek the Lord early. They ain't going, and as you just the brother said again, humans are fragile. You're to the eyes of the Lord, it's very easy to terrify you. It's very easy to hurt you. It's not as some the Lord got to try to make up a complex plan to hurt you. It's very easy. Can the Lord put you in a position, as it says in First Peter or Second Peter? He knows how to reserve the ungodly to the day of judgment. So you can just be going about your day and going about your time as if everything is okay. Just in that path that you're going is leading up into a terrible, terrible, painful wrath that you're going to feel. So them saying running that back, it says, hurry up. They even mom God and say, hurry up and do something. We want to see what you can do. Well, you're going to see what the Lord can do. And not only are you going to see it, you're going to feel it. That's why in 2 Ezra, the 9th chapter, it says what? And they shall know it after death by pain, right? In the latter days, you're going to consider it perfectly. It's not going to be something that you got to, damn, was this the Lord's doing? No, you're going to know that Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, reigns and rules and deals and judges. You're going to know it. But at that point, you're only going to know it because of his displeasure. You're not going to know it because of his chastisement through mercy. You're going to know it because the Lord is showing you how much he hates you. And that's very, very, as Paul said, scripture says, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God, right? We're not talking about Buddha, Hare Krishna. We're not talking about idols. We're talking about a living power. And that's a fearful thing to fall into his hands. But you got it.
John, you got a quick precept. Oh, yeah,
You got it.
All right, quick precept. This is Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 11. Just adding on to your point there. It says here, for the house of Israel and the house of Judah have dealt treacherously against me, saith the Lord. They have belied the Lord and said, it is not he, neither shall evil come upon us, neither shall we see sword nor famine. So it's like you were saying, like tempting the Lord, and testing the Lord's hand. Testing the Lord's hand as though, he can't do anything. And that's similar to what the Egyptians did, right? That's the attitude Pharaoh was in up until he learned the hard way, right? When the Lord brought those plagues upon Egypt, he said, get up out of here quick, when he lost his firstborn son. And that's the thing about it. It's like people, it's always the weakest ones that talk so proudly, because in Pharaoh's mind, if you know that you're susceptible to this, right? You knew how much sorrow you would possibly be in if you lost your son. And yet you spoke as though, throwing stones when you live in a glass house? What did you expect would happen, right? As a matter of fact, that's a lesson right there, and I'm copywriting it. What did you expect would happen? Because you're literally throwing stones in a glass house. You're boasting against the Heavenly Father, who is the creator of pain, suffering, and destruction with everything else. What did you possibly think would happen? And then when it does come upon them, they I think I'm starting to think this infuriates the Lord even more. When the judgment comes upon them, and then they start to cry out onto him, because it's like yo, you gonna get even more ass whoopings, right? Like, here it is, you knew what was coming, you acted tough, and now that the judgment is coming, now you start crying as though you're innocent. That's the annoying part. That the people that like to play the victims. So as it says here,
hey, it's keep that same energy.
Yeah, you go. Yep.
They want to get rid of the wicked energy as soon as the judgment comes. The Lord said, "Not keep that same wicked energy."
That's it. That proud talk, And the thing is, you see it time and time again, and yet Jake never learns. Like there's that video. We always like to reference that of you had that chick in the store talking crazy to this guy, and the dude said, say one more thing, I'll slap you right in the face. She went and said something, wham. Oh, she needs some milk. And then everybody got quiet. She got quiet real quick. She looked at her man, like, damn, you gonna do that? You just gonna let him hit me like that? She held on to her face and everything. And the dude was just like, and at that point, what did you think would happen? The dude looked like the kind of dude who would slap you in the face. He told you he was gonna slap you in the face if you open your mouth again. And then you open your mouth again. So like, what do you what do you think is going to happen? And that's what they're doing to the Lord, right? They're taunting the Lord. The Lord says, I'm going to bring judgment if you don't stop. And then they do it, and they look at the Lord as they do it. And it's like they don't expect him to do anything. Yeah, you got it, bro.
Hey, that's just a quick point. Then you got it back. That shows you how quick these women are going to be humbled. All right, because even that alone is an illustration or just an example of how they're only loudmouth and confident when they feel like there's some type of security. Oh, I could just call the cops, so this guy's not going to do anything to me. Or there are other men out there that could help me. You notice they never say, "Oh, I'm caught in a situation. There's a guy who's at my door and he's about to break down my door. So if I call for security, I'm expecting a woman to come and save me." Hell no. They're looking for another man to come save them. But yet, all men ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're the women. We have the power. We have the prize. You got to work for us and all this extra shit. All this dumbass behavior is all because of their warped ideology of a sense of security, right? And once that security is taken away, right, the cops now become the villains that you're trying to run away from. All of a sudden, now you need men. Now a man becomes that much more precious. Isaiah 13. Isaiah 13 told the Lord is going to make a man more precious than fine gold. Because if you know a man could save you, protect you, you know what I'm saying, preserve your life, because in that time, you're looking for safety. You're looking for your life to be preserved. You're doing everything in your power to make sure that this man is in good shape to keep my ass alive. If you got to give that man some ass 24/7, you're going to do it. If you got to, cook for him 24/7, you're going to do it. Why? Because you know that's your lifeline right there. You see what I'm saying? That changes the whole entire dynamic. Now you're not looking at men as, oh, this man ain't shit. No, you're looking for a man's protection. You see what I'm saying? But you got it, bro.
Yeah, I'm looking for a video. I'll see if I can find it. But somebody can just say something in the meantime, just on that point that you just mentioned about how quickly the Lord can fix that.
Yeah, Khan. Real quick too, there was a precept that I wanted to bring out because Khan, you mentioned something earlier about that breaking news, right? And it's heavy because we were just talking about how our God actually does these things. Where are they God's at? The lightnings, the thunderings. He does these things. So then, right then and there, he shows us an example by hitting people with a lightning strike. That you said, how many people got struck? How many?
20.
20 people, bro. See, and you're gonna see more and more of these things where the news is gonna be reporting it, in the sense that they're gonna be giving attributes to the Lord. You're gonna be hearing news headlines like, "Oh, this has to be an act of God," or this has to be something that's only biblical. Like you're gonna be hearing things like that, and we're gonna be like, "Yes, we told you, how Bashim Ash going to start flexing." It is time for thee for thee to work, oh Lord, right? Oh Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, it's time for thee to work. So you're gonna start seeing the Lord's hands, as it says in 2 Ezra 9th chapter. Then shall they well understand that it is the very same time which the highest will begin to visit the earth which he made. Okay, the visitations comes through many different disasters, man. That is unexplainable, but only through biblical lens. Okay, you're giving straight credit to the Lord, like, yo, this type of disaster can't happen. The only thing that can make it possible or understandable is if you say, oh yeah, that's the God of the Bible that's doing all this. That's the only thing that would make sense. Okay, and we're gonna be the only ones to be here to explain to you and show you more precepts and say, see, the Lord is hey, you know what I'm saying? He changes not. Your wickedness does not all of a sudden, just because the world has changed to look at wickedness as righteousness, now it makes your wickedness righteous. You must be a fool to think that, man. You're doing all this wicked ass shit, but yet in your mind, oh, the Bible is old, it's antiquated. All this judgment that happened to all these people, you mean to tell me you're just gonna skip over all that like it never happened? And these people didn't even do half the shit that you niggas do on this side. And you think the Lord just going, it's 2025, so they ain't no more God of the Bible, man. We just moving on now. We changing things and so on and so forth. Nah, bro, it don't work like that. All right, you don't get to change the laws. You're just a citizen, baby. All right, the judge, all right, he's sitting in his throne. He's setting everything up as he wants. You can't just come in here talking about, oh, Your Honor, I got a speeding ticket and I got this count and I got that count and I got a misdemeanor and I got a felony and but today we're just gonna focus just on the speeding ticket. Nigga, who the fuck is you? You in the courthouse now, boy. Take that hat off and let's talk. You're gonna show some respect in the presence of the Lord, man. All right. And when you start seeing the things happening, you women, get ready. All right. Before you find your stuff.
Got a precept.
No, I didn't.
All right, Sean.
Yeah, I got a preset. Hey, it was like 99 degrees today, and people were barely outside, bro. Imagine the missile. It's crazy. But I have here the book of Jeremiah, the 15th chapter. It says, "Then said the Lord Yahweh unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be towards this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. It shall come to pass," and this is the same Jeremiah that was sent to a people who would not listen, right? That the Lord calls them all type of all type of beasts, right? Scorpions and serpents, and he said he was going to make his forehead hard against their forehead, and that they wouldn't listen. And so when the judgment was pronounced upon them, the Lord is telling them that when they, even though Moses and Samuel was like interceding on their behalf, he wasn't going to listen. Verse 2 says, "And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, such as are for the sword, for death to death, and such as for the sword to the sword, and such as are for famine to the famine, and such are for captivity to captivity." Right. So when the Lord has decided your fate, there's really nothing you can do at that point, and that's the precept that I want to bring out to add on to that point.
God, I found the video, so I'll just play real quick, and that'll be it. At least for me. Share screen. I think I sent it to you, Aaron. Yeah, bros, let me know if you can see it. Refresh that.
Yep, we can see it.
All right, let's do a refresh.
Can't hear it though.
That's wrong.
Go on, get moving.
See if I can. I hate when it's doing. Hold on, yeah.
That's Ronald
I
Reagan
like it
too.
here.
The crazy part.
Go on, get moving. You get back to the hotel and stay there.
I like it here.
Go on, get moving.
I said, I like it here.
Well, I can change that in a hurry.
So, so like, I hope YouTube don't get wild with that. But yeah, hold on, disappear. But that's just to show, like, that's literally gonna be the judgment the Lord's gonna bring, right? Well, I can change that in a hurry because, and hey, it just goes to show you, man.
Sudden destruction. Sudden destruction.
And then she's got quiet quick. But the point of that video is to show you, like, that's pretty much that he didn't hesitate, right? Well, I can change that in a hurry, just like that, bam. And that's what the Lord is gonna do because He understands that it'll be just like that. That's all it takes for you to humble down. And people in their state of mind right now they have that pseudo confidence of like, oh, I said I like it here. What the fuck, you know what I'm saying? And the Lord is gonna show you how He can change that in a hurry when He brings the famines, the pestilence, the diseases, the destruction, and so on and so forth. But just wanted to show that right there, man. This is why you fear Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. That's it for me.
God, hey, you gotta just think about right now. People don't seek the Lord, right? Like that's the last thing that they would think about themselves. And then even hearing about seeking the Lord, they still say, "Nah, there's another option," or that can't be it. There's something else. But the Lord said in Proverbs that you are going to seek Him. So you got to just think about what the Lord is going to bring on the earth for people to actually seek Him. And speaking specifically about Israel, because right now Israel they're the ones that are playing games, making memes, twerking, trying to want to ride a missile, as if all these things are just fun and games. But the Lord said that your calamity and desolation is going to come upon you as a whirlwind, and then you're going to seek Him. And as a brother Haran said, that the calamity and desolation aren't just going to be like, oh, you got into a car accident where something, if you would have made a right instead of a left, then we could avoid it. It's going to be things that you can't explain that happen. You may have a lightning literally chasing you, and you're just getting lightning just. So you running and it's just hitting you, and the Lord missing on purpose just to scare your ass. But it's like wherever you go, you try to step out your house, and then just a lightning rod just hits every time you just step out your house. It's just like, what are you going to do at that point? Because you can't blame Esau, right? You can't blame anything else. Like, yo, why are you gonna look up and say that? Why are you doing this? Why are you lightning just striking every time I step out my house? Then you're gonna seek the Lord, but he ain't gonna hear you. You're not gonna listen. You know, that is the fear that the Lord is about to bring to people. But I know you had something, Haran. I'm done.
Now, I had a perfect precept to back up what you just said. This is a book of Psalm, chapter 18 and verse 14. It says, "Yea, he sent out his arrows and scattered them, and he shot out lightnings and discomfited them." So you're gonna be shooting lightnings, literally chasing after people, man. And when you go to that word discomfited or to discomfit, it means to what? To overthrow or to defeat, right? When you get defeated, that means you went to battle with someone. We told you the Lord is a man of war. So he got all kinds of, when it comes to like, I'm beating you at whatever battle it may be. It could be mental, spiritual, physical, whatever the case may be. He got you beat. King David said it. He said, when I'm in the heavens, you're there. Thou art there. When I'm in the ocean, deepest part of the ocean, thou art there. Wherever I may go, you there. How am I going to even conspire a plan to come against a power that's, omnipresent, omniscient? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's game over. You know what I'm saying? And hey, people going to see it, man, especially here in Babylon, because the concept of the Lord and his power is so forsaken in this land. The Lord is going to have to do something that's going to really like shake everybody. Like, oh shit, there is actually like a God of the Bible. Like, yo, like for real, like all these things are in the Bible. Like he's going to do similar things. He said he's going to destroy this Egypt like he did with the ancient Egypt, with the plagues. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to be seeing things that's going to remind you of, yo, this is biblical. This is it. This is biblical. The only thing that makes sense is the Bible, you know? And that's when everybody's going to be looking for the prophets, but you're not going to find the prophets. The Lord's going to do that. He's going to do that. Because when you're looking for something the most, that's when you really up. When you're not looking for something, it's always going to be there, right? But the moment you start looking for it, all of a sudden you can't find it. And sometimes right there, you just can't for that one thing. You be like, yo, bro, like an example would be like when you have like a pile of clothes before when you do your laundry, you don't fold it yet, and then you come in like first day you might pop in there, yo, you might look for a pair of socks, right? You're not looking for a specific shirt, but the first shirt you see is the shirt that you're not even looking for. The next day come out, you looking for that specific shirt. All of a sudden you can't find. Now you digging through, be like, yo, I just saw this shit here yesterday. What the fuck? What? You know what I'm saying? I didn't touch this pile. How did they just get missing out of nowhere? You see what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. You're gonna look and look and look, and then you give up and you be like, maybe it's not even here. Let me go find another shirt then. You see what I'm saying?
It's like it.
Okay.
It is. You're looking for the shirt. The plot twist, you're actually wearing it. It's a shirt you're wearing, and you're looking for it. Because usually that's how it really goes.
Yep. That's just all something else. You know how people are scared of thunder when a loud thunder hits? Imagine if it just thunders all day nonstop. Like the one that just shake your house all day. Like people, those are things like thunder is something that you grow up experiencing, but you ain't never experienced it like that. Just not don't be like people. That's how Lord can just bug your mind out. He can just bug you out and scare you with simple things. Like we're reading Wisdom of Solomon, the 17th chapter, that reason, like I'm just going to roughly paraphrase it. Reasoning leaves you, which is basically causing the fear to come upon you. Where you can't reason why something is happening, then your mind will start just making up your own conclusion, and that's your mind plaguing you, and that's what the Lord can do. You know, but I know a brother knows the script, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, they call it hallucinations. When you start hallucinating, you start seeing shit.
Apparitions.
Apparition. Yep. But I got the last precept, and then yeah, brothers got it. It's a book of Psalm, chapter 77, and verse 18. It says, "The voice of thy thunder was in the heaven, the lightnings lightened the world, the earth trembled and shook." So King David is even testifying to what the Zaquan just said about how the Lord could literally have it lightning and thundering all day, and your house is shaking, like literally, your dog's barking, your alarm's going off, and you're like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? You might have a door that's always locked, just open, slam, bang. You be like, oh shit, what the fuck? Like, where did this wind come from? The Lord could do that. You know what I'm saying? Have your rooftop blow off just out of nowhere. You know, the Lord could do crazy, merciless things that you be sitting there like, damn, I see why they call him a demon-like terrible power, man. Damn, I see why these nations were frightened whenever they heard the name of the God of the Hebrews, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai. I see it now. I see it now. I see why those men were so afraid of the Lord that they hazarded their lives to serve this power. I see it now. And at that point, it's going to be nothing you can offer but your life. All right. And that's going to be a lot of people. That's what we always say. It even tells you in the book of, I believe, Second Ezra, where it says that it's going to come a time where they're going to be taken away by a great number. As a lot of people going to get put to death, man. All right. And that's all justified by Yahweh Bashim Shai as his judgment and his claim that he is indeed the true God of the Bible, man. All right. Everything he said is going to come to pass. And the part that we're about to enter into is going to be the most bloodiest time. And Albert Pike testified to that. He says it's going to be the most bloodiest turmoil, bloodiest time ever. All right. A time like never before. And it's fast approaching. You got it, bro.
I got one precept. The brother posted in the chat. This is the book of Job, chapter 36 and 32 in the NLT. And it reads, he fills his hands with lightning bolts and hurls each at its target. The thunder announces his presence, and the storm announces his indignant anger. Yeah, that's it.
That's right. That's right. I said I was done, but I lied. I got one more. I just wanted to mention, because brothers were saying that, and the emphasis is for you to have an idea in your mind, which doesn't come close to what it really is, but have an idea in your mind of how scary the Lord can actually be. And what I was thinking of was, imagine where you get plagued, as in every time you sleep, you have the most craziest, scariest nightmare that instantly wakes you up. And you hear it is, you go 2-3 days, you can't sleep. You're very, very tired. But every time you fall asleep, you keep getting woken up by this scary ass nightmare. And it just goes on and on and on for days and weeks. That even something as simple as not being able to sleep like that is torturous, you know? So I just wanted to mention that. Fear the Lord and repent.
Oh yeah. The movie that just came out, The Final Destination Bloodline, that basically how it started. The chick, she kept having a premonition and like for like weeks, and she was in college to where she was like a smart girl, but her grades were failing because every time she went to sleep, she was having a premonition of her dying, like everybody around her dying, to where, when you have that premonition dream, it feels real. So she was just, every time she went to sleep, there was the same reoccurring dream where she was just dying in a horrific way. And it actually started to, like how you said, she was sleepy, but she couldn't sleep because every time she had this dream of her dying. So she would wake up afraid and then not want to go to sleep, but she'll fall asleep and have the dream. So, that's just like a reoccurring thing. What do you want to do at that point? So, yeah, like how you just said, man, hey, fear the Lord. That's the beginning of wisdom, right? Fearing the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And, through that, right, the Lord will have mercy upon us, because when you fear the Lord, you'll seek the Lord. All right. So, we'll close it out with that, Lord willing. This was edifying unto the elect, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Till next time, Shalom. You gotta exit it, brother.